Hello Taurus friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Taurus December 2020 Astrology Must Knows. This month we've got a lot to celebrate because finally it's time to be full speed ahead. We've got massive momentum, unlike anything we've seen for a very long time, breaking through the stagnation, bringing solutions, and bringing forward movement. I'm going to talk in detail about these factors and how specifically they will affect Taurus placements. Just two quick housekeeping notes. This video is for you if you have your moon or rising sign in Taurus, not just your sun. Okay, so anyone that has any kind of prominent Taurus placement, some people even watch for their Venus or Mars, this is for you and is a piece of your astrological picture. So I just wanted to let you know that it's not just for the sun placements. The next thing is that if you're a late degree Taurus placement, so you're like later in the sign, like May 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees, and the later in degree or the later in May, the more this is important. The Gemini report will also hold pieces for you. I always speak to things that could be different for late degree placements, but you all on the cusp there, you have you're a different kind of animal. So you've got two charts and two sets of horoscopes that will tend to have pieces for you. Okay, so I recommend that you watch my Taurus and Gemini reports. Okay, so now we can look at this beautiful December 2020 must-know list. And of course, that first must-know is full steam ahead. Now, a little bit more details about that. Not only do we have the personal planet retrograde mischief done, we also have every planet that we look at in the zodiac, except for Uranus, direct at this time. And even most of the star goddesses. So between December and the middle of January, we're going to have every planet direct, pretty much, okay? And in January, Uranus will get there. So you can see my equation here. Direct movement of the stars equals forward movement for us, okay? So Taurus placements will love that, knowing that any stagnation that has been kind of settling in there is likely going to start shifting, and you can see more results from efforts that you've been putting through that might have seemed closer. They can expand out further. The next must know has to do with Mars moving forward in the sign that it rules, and your ambitions coming back in a very big way, and your goals, and getting more clear about how you want to move forward. This is a very important time for you. You're still in this you've got plans that you've been making, and you might need some more details to gel. But this Mars movement is going to bring a lot of those details to you. So you've got all of December plus the first half of January to implement those plans. Okay, so anything major, contracts, launches, new businesses, starting a new business, commitments of any kind, moves, anything that needs oomph and that needs more clear stars, this is the time to do all those things. And it hasn't been the time to do any of those things. So you really want to notice this because, with all of this forward movement, we're going to have a lot of, we want to take advantage of it is basically the point. Okay, so the next thing to note is that there's a ton of Sagittarius energy this month through Mercury and the sun, but also through the eclipse, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. But just to know, the energy of Sagittarius really still focuses on your relationship sector, okay? So, and this also has to do specifically with relationships with money. So it might be time to, do estate planning, or an inheritance topic might come up for discussion or come to fruition if something has been held, in a holding pattern with inheritance information, that might push through. If you need a loan for anything, or you need to buy anything, or you need to sell anything, this is a magnificent time for all of that. And the odds of you getting funding for something are definitely increased. If you need capital, business, money, or anything like that, this could be a time where even if other people said no, you could go back and get what you need now in that arena. Also, this is going to be hot for spouse information. So like something with your spouse's money, or your partner's money, or anything having to do with like those close connections and their money, family money, in-laws, things like that, are very, very hot at this time and have a lot of really good energy for you to use. Now, Sag energy makes an awkward angle with Taurus placements, so there is going to be a little to it. There's going to be some awkwardness where It might be uncomfortable. I mean, and really think about it. Anything with estate planning, death, or money is always a little bit uncomfortable anyway, right? So it could just be that. It could just be that the topics that are being brought up now are uncomfortable for you to talk about or to deal with. But it doesn't mean that they can't have great outcomes, and it doesn't mean that you need to worry about it. It just means, you know, it doesn't go, it's kind of going to be dizzy and scattered, and that's not the way Taurus energy flows, okay? So you will feel that, and it will be uncomfortable. Okay, so your work house is still very much accentuated. And so if you've needed to get a job, if the coronavirus situation has caused you to be unemployed, this is an amazing time for new opportunities with work, or with creating some new opportunities with work. If you have an entrepreneurial spirit that you know about, or one that can be coaxed out, this might be a time to look to see how you can serve people in the new situation and do some of these things. And they might even be on the side of a regular job, but anything like that could be relevant. And for those of you who are not employed, meaning like you're retired and you don't want to be employed, you can still have a lot of energy here as far as your greater purpose. What are you bringing to the world? What ways can what roles can you fill, whether or not you're making money from them in your career? Those types of questions are the things that are really a long-term topic that will be, accentuated now. Okay, so let's go through the hot date summary and then we'll get to the eclipses. The first sequence of dates that I want to point out has to do with this string from November 30th through December 5th. Now, November 30th, I have a yay here, okay, because this is a nice string of aspects that are uninterrupted by challenging aspects that are interspersed throughout the rest of the month. Okay, so we have just a little uninterrupted flow here that's notable. November 30th is the eclipse in Gemini, and to see where that eclipse falls for you and what areas of life will be accentuated, to understand more resources about that particular aspect, watch my November horoscopes, okay, for your sign, because I talk about that there. We'll talk about here the eclipse on December 14th at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, okay? So that same house that we talked about of the death and the estate planning and the inheritances and the money. Oh, by the way, that's also the lotto house and the sweepstakes house and the finding money on the road house and, all of those things. That same house is going to be aspected for this eclipse. So not only do you have the casual movement of the sun and Mercury, you also have the BAM eclipse energy there. Okay, so you could see something really life-changing in that arena. Deaths, births, transformation, deep study into, esoteric arts or psychology, a mystery to be solved, or getting into mystery work or detective or research work. All of this can come up in a really big way. So with the eclipses, we always want to look at the house that the eclipse is in, the sign that the eclipse is in, and where you are. If you're in a different area of this, like if you're a later degree placement, sometimes the eclipse will fall into a different house for you than for the rest of the sign. Okay, so I'm going to give you some resources to speak to all of this. I suggest all Taurus placements watch my eclipses in Sagittarius video. They will give you the full gamut of the types of things I have seen happen from eclipses in Sagittarius. You can just search for Annie Botticelli eclipses in Sagittarius or go to my homepage, okay? And that's going to be true for all Taurus placements. Then all Taurus placements also look for eclipses in Scorpio, and that will speak to this 8th house. Then those of you who are like May 11th, well, we'll say even like May 9th-ish through the rest of the sign, or like 18 or so degrees through 29 degrees, you all also watch my eclipses in Libra, okay? Because the odds that this eclipse are going to fall into that house for you are very much increased because everything shifts over the later you are, okay? So that's just some additional pieces for you, but your relationship houses are definitely very, very much in front and center. Now, I'm going to give you more of these dates here, but note that these are highlights. If you want the full report on what all the aspects are, what the sweet and salty dates are, what you can expect from the aspects, all the dates of them, and a written general write-up of the month, everything that you have to know for the general transits, then go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, and you'll get this delivered to your inbox 1 month early so you have it for your planning purposes. So a couple of other dates to note. December 18th, Mercury is going to cross over the eclipse point. Remember that eclipses are on this ecliptic point. This is the energy of like karma and dharma. They resonate very strongly with the nodes, okay? The north and south node, if you know about the nodes. The south node has to do with your karma. The north node has to do with your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime. So the eclipses seek to bring you on to, give you opportunities on your path of destiny. And so they can be very life-changing. And so when other planets come and cross over that point that the eclipse was at, or make angles to that point, then it activates the storyline of the eclipses. So December 18th, Mercury crosses over that point, so likely more news or information will come in, or events. Then December 25th and 26th, Mars will then trine that point, which is a nice aspect, best aspect. So more news or a silver lining, if there were some challenges, can come at that time. We're not glossing over this December 21st Jupiter and Saturn epic connection at 0 degrees of Aquarius. I'm going to talk more in detail about that after we talk about the rest of these dates, because that's a little bit more of an in-depth discussion. So December 24th and 27th, we've got Mercury and then the Sun making a trine, the most fabulous aspect in all of astrology, with the planet Uranus, which is the planet of surprises and sudden breakthroughs and insights and genius. So that's an extra special boost. And it's even better for Taurus placements because it is in the Earth sign. So that's going to make wonderful angles for you. Now, those of you who are in the April born Taurus range, or the first few days of May, or like the, pretty much April or the first couple of days of May, or like 0 to around 11 degrees or so, you all will get the most extra sweet yumminess from those aspects because they happen in the early degree placements. So they're going to ricochet off of your Taurus placements to give you some extra effects. But don't worry, the rest of you, this can be sweet for everybody, okay? Just those placements will get an extra piece there. Now, if you notice on my little timeline here, I've got a little crunkly face there amidst all the smiley faces with exclamation points, because we do have amidst all that nice flow a Sun and Chiron square, which can cause you to doubt yourself or cause you to have a little self-esteem bump. But that usually passes very quickly, and it is kind of mobbed out with all this other niceness, so hopefully it won't be very noticeable. But I wanted to mention it in case it pops up there. So December 29th, we've got the full moon in Cancer that brings fullness, completion, fruition to anything with home and family, your inner world, real estate, ancestry. So I always like to leave space around the full moons, and you might want to too, because they tend to be, especially when they're in a water sign, very emotional. But sometimes the emotion can be happy emotion, like a blissful experience with your family, good real estate news, and since Cancer energy flows well with Taurus energy, the odds that that moon will be positive are increased because of that. Those of you who are in like the later part of April, like we'll say like the 25th and then through like around May 5th, you all will get the even more of a chance for sweetness from this because it will directly tie into your placement. So those of you like the very end of April, very beginning of May, the closer you are to 9 degrees, the more that this can be enhanced for you. And remember that full moons don't only bring their goodness at the time that they happen. There is a 13-month cycle pretty much, or a 13 moon cycle, a 12-month cycle that's at play with these. So something you've been working on for all that time, or something that comes to fruition that can, tend to continue to glow and grow over the next year. But I want to focus now on this topic of, if Jupiter, the great expander, is moving through Aquarius and it's moving through a certain section of your chart, then what happens when Saturn, the cruncher, the restrictor, the limiter, is also moving through? So the first must know with that is that, yes, Saturn can run a little interference as far as what Jupiter is trying to do. But in this particular sign of Aquarius, I'm not seeing that as much of a troublemaker as it was in Capricorn, because Jupiter is super happy in Aquarius. And when Jupiter is moving through a sign that it's happy in, it can get really carried away. Okay, Jupiter rules excess. And I know a lot about this. I have an astrologer friend who calls me a one-woman Jupiter transit because I have so many placements of Sagittarius in my chart that, like, the epitome of all of the energy of Jupiter in myself, my expression, and my life is like very Jupiterian, okay? It can be extremely excessive to a fault, to where it burns itself out, to where it turns into something not great, okay? And so I see Saturn kind of hanging out there. It's like a little babysitter. It's like saying, okay, I see you're happy and you're rambunctious with your new toy of being in a sign that it likes. Here, let's just kind of make that more sustainable, make that more effective, make that more responsible, and have that be more of like a constructive accomplishment. You can also kind of think of this energy like a prescribed burn, when they're trying to clear out some underbrush to protect from wildfire issues in the future. A prescribed burn allows a burn to only get so far so that it can be productive, and then it just cuts it off. So I see this as kind of like a little guardian protector in this case. And so that's exciting. Now, something else to know about this is that Jupiter and Saturn are only in close proximity in the sign of Aquarius for, like, you know, December and January. Then after that, Jupiter just rolls out and leaves Saturn, the old guy, in the dust. You know, it's like, he's like, okay, father time, you know, I'm going to be on with this. And it just kind of races through Aquarius. And then when it does retrograde, it still stays at the later degrees of Aquarius. So it's not going to come back in the very close proximity that we're seeing here in the December-January timeframe. So the most hindrance and the most challenged points of them coming together we're likely to see in the December-January timeframe, but hopefully that will soften over time. And then just kind of see them as like working in cooperation as they're moving through the different areas of your chart, which again, this is going to kind of be staggered. So I'm not that concerned about a lot of negative effects of it. I'm more interested in how there are likely to be positive and supportive effects for the reasons that I mentioned. Okay, so oh yeah, there were two other things I wanted to mention about this. The conjunction that Jupiter and Saturn makes is at 0 degrees. It's right at the beginning of Aquarius. And at that time, we have the planet Pallas Athena right there. And Juno is right there in a 60-degree angle, which is a super positive angle. Okay, so this is speaking to the feminine principle coming into play here in a more notable way. And this is kind of a way of the future. The future is going to have more of this feminine masculine balance. And notice that I'm not saying male or female. It transcends the gender distinction. It's the energy of feminine and masculine within ourselves. It's the energy of feminine and masculine within the society, within the systems. You know, it's just adding more of that balance. So with these two ladies here, you know, kind of supporting this connection, I think it's going to speak to a really nice balance that can also hopefully offset some of the challenge points. And we are in for another wild ride in 2021, I'll be honest with you, you know, but I think the types of changes that will come from the outer planets coming together are more progressive and more have to do with the fact that change is coming and there will be resistance to the change, and that some of the changes that are suggested are not necessarily the best ones, and kind of finding the balance. You know, that's going to be the story of 2021. So if you'd like to have more information about how astrology can help you and how your awareness of the transits can be supportive to everything that you're working on, I have lots of free resources. The free resources are also linked with hyperlinks in the notes below the video. If you click on the more button and the arrow, it's down there. But the first thing to know is you definitely want to go to anniehelpsyou.com, peruse my blog, especially my astrology blog if you're interested in astrology, and sign up for my free email newsletter. That is a definite must do, because that will give you, I don't send out very many emails and they're all very content rich with things that I've created to help you. I don't send out random emails. I send out about 3, no more than 4 emails a month. And they all have, again, links to things that will help you that I've created or that some other people are posting on my blog. So the next thing to note is that you get Shine, my 28-day virtual coaching program, for free when you sign up for my email newsletter. Okay, the second resource is go to lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. That's my school, Luminous Life Multiversity. And this school has some free classes, including a course called Unleash Your Money Magnet and a couple of wellness classes, including one called Claiming Victory Over Viruses. And then there are also paid courses. Most of my offerings are free, but I do have some paid courses that keep everything going. And one of them is a course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. If you resonate with how I teach and you want to learn, I can help you to do that. My course is so crazy comprehensive. If you think I go into details in the videos and my other resources, you'll be blown away by the amount of magic that you have at your fingertips, whether it's for your personal pursuits and you don't want to do astrology professionally, or for your professional pursuits. The next thing is at cozybysweetstarlight.com. You will see my written horoscopes, which are much more simple and easier to follow. They're less technical. Also a month, I post my videos for the horoscopes 4 to 6 weeks early, and I post my written horoscopes at least a month early. So you'll see those at cozybysweetstarlight.com, plus an ever-growing list of astrology-kissed blogs, ways that you can utilize your knowledge of the stars and syncing up with the natural rhythms. And speaking of syncing up with the natural rhythms of the universe, definitely get my book, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You can get it on Kindle, you can get it on Audible, you can get it in print, and I suggest Audible one might not be out till like the end of, maybe the beginning to end of November. But you can get the print edition ordered now, and I suggest you get Audible and print because it's a long book and you'll want Audible for that. And it's a reference book, a beautiful hardcover reference book, so you'll want that too. Okay, so you can see it on Amazon, you can see it at any major bookseller. Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.